Hey friends, welcome to software learning tutorial. I am Ankit Prajapati, creator of this video presentation. Hope you have watched my first part about the automation testing, in which I have covered about the basic things about the automation testing, why we require the automation testing in the IT industry, right? And what are the different frameworks and the tools available on the market. If you have missed that part, I would request you to just go through that one, because I am creating the complete series of the automation testing, so it will be useful for you to have the knowledge about the few concepts that you might going to be missed. So in this second part, we are going to talk about the Java programming. Okay, so why we are going to this part? Because you are not going to be a code developer which write the Java program, but to write the automation script using the Selenium WebDriver, you should have the better knowledge about the any programming language. And for this tutorial series, I have choose the Java, right? So for that, it will be useful for you to know the things about the Java. So let me take you to the agenda. What we are going to cover today, we are going to talk about what is the Java. That will be very easy and straightforward for you as a software engineer or as a fresher as well. What makes Java so popular in the today's market, and of course the key component and key fundamental about the Java, like what is the class, what is the object, what is the method, interface, package, different type of the modifiers, and of course the OOPS concept. So as you can see on the screen, the Java is the programming language that produces the software for the multiple platform, right? At the time of learning, you must have seen like the architecture of the Java. I am not going to depth in the architecture of the Java, because that will be not very helpful for us, because we need to just understand how the syntax work and what are the different fundamental of the Java, like what are the different keywords which we are going to normally use when we write the Selenium code for the WebDriver. So that, but as a automation tester as well, it should be good for you to know the basic, know the where the Java came from and all those things. So that's the reason I have put the few fundamental on the screen. So Java was first released by the Sun Microsystem in 1995, and later on it has been acquired by the Oracle Corporation. Okay, and that's the reason if you see the Java logo, you will have the Oracle on that as well. Java, I would say, is normally use the syntax from the C and C++, but yeah, the few of the standard Java has their own. So that things we are going to talk, and we will see in this presentation itself the different type of the Java program as well. Okay, Java contains the multiple things which help it to become the top on the programming languages. Okay, so whenever you write any code in Java and you get it compiled, it get converted to the bytecode. And as you might be aware about, the bytecode will be the easiest form for any operating system to understand. So that's the reason we normally says the Java is the programming language where you need to compile the code at once and you can run at anywhere. So that is the key reason like the Java normally people use. Okay, so let me take you to the next slide, and in that slide we are going to talk about why we choose the Java over the other programming language. If you go on to the Google and if you search for and compare the Java with the other programming language, you might be found some pros and cons about the Java and the other programming language as well. But for me, these are the key component and these are the key features that why I have choose the Java, right? The Java support the OOPS concept that we are going to talk today in these presentations. The high performance, whenever you write any code in Java, it get converted to the bytecode, and which help us to make the performance speedy when we work on any operating systems. Java is very secure compared to the other programming language. It's robust, It is the platform independent, so that means you can write the code on any platform, you can run at anywhere, and the multi-threaded. So these are the features which makes me to select the Java over the other programming language. But one of the key feature for me is their community. So whenever you start learning the Java, if you stuck anywhere, the internet has the number of peoples in the Java programmer who can help you out on your any of the error. So that is the key things. Whenever you start learning the new languages, right, you need to make sure, like, if you stuck anywhere, who will help you out. You cannot go to the any programmer, you cannot hire the programmer, you cannot go to the classes straight away. But yes, you have the community on the internet available who help you out for any error, for any explanation you required in the Java. So that was my key reason to select the Java as a programming language. So let me take you to the fundamental of the Java. So the fundamental, you must be aware about these three things: class, object, and methods. If you are a fresher, right, if you have given 2 or 3 interview, then you must be aware about what are the class, object, and method is. So let me just quickly go through this one. The class is a user defined blueprint or the prototype, you can say, from which object are created, right? And what is the object? Object is the instance of the class which has the states and behavior. So anything, I will say anything on this earth who has the states and behavior, we can call as an object, right? So as a human, we are also an object because we have the different name, we have the different heights, we have the different weights, and we have the different behavior as well. We can speak, we can eat, we can walk, we can talk, and all those things. So these are the things which make the object in the real life scenario as well. Okay, and the third one is the method. So as says, the method is the collection of the statement that are grouped together to perform and simple operation. Okay, so if you consider these three things in the real-time scenario, then I would like to say the class is similar to the school class, where we have the different type of student learning together into the four wall, right? So that we can also say as a class. And when that particular student learns something from that class and he or she want to implement that particular things to the outside of the class, then he can normally connect that I have learned these things from this particular class, from this particular year of my study. Okay, so this is somehow get connected mentally as well, but this is a real-time scenario, so no need to go into the depth, but it will be easy for you to understand how the object of the class get created. Okay, so this is a simple program I have write up for you to understand what is the class. So you can see the definition, how you can define the class. So on the top you can say I have created the class test with the modifier as a public. And you must be aware about the Java program, we always have a one default main method, and from that the code gets started executing. And over here, if you see the step number 3, I have created one method called my method. And what the my method do is, my method simply print the statement called hello world. Okay, so I have the class, I have the main method, and then I created the user defined method called my methods. Now I want to print that particular things. Then of course I need to call that method into the Java main method. So what I will do, I will create the one object called T1 for the class test, right? And you can see how I have called the call that particular user defined method T1 dot my method. So when I will run this program, it will be print out the hello world for me. It will be called the program, it will call the method my method into the Java main method. So this is the simple program. If you want a copy of this program, I can send you, but you can also write down easily in your Java editor as well. Okay, so friends, this is very useful to understand what is the class, object and methods, because these things will be helpful for everywhere. When you write any class, these things is very helpful for you. Okay, so let me take you to the next slide, and from where we are going to see the key things which make us to organize the Java code, which make us to use the different class on the different way to use that particular methods and objects. So that is, I can say, is the interface. Okay, so what is the interface? Interface is just like a Java class. Okay, nothing else. It's similar to the Java class, but it only has the static constraint and the abstract method. So this is the key difference between the Java class and the interface. Java class can have the any methods and any constraint, but in the interface you only have the static constraint and the abstract method, right? A class implements an interface, thereby inheriting the abstract method of the interface. Okay, the class can implement an interface, but interface cannot implement the class. So this is again the key difference. If that can be asked in the interview as well, what is the difference between the interface and the class? So I have included that difference in the later on this presentation, but that will be very useful. So what is the interface? An interface is just like a class, but it only have the static constraint and the abstract method compared to the normal Java class. The next definition is about the package. What is the package? As its name suggests, the package is the group of the class, interface and other packages as well. Okay, so you have the multiple package in the package itself, and if you group them together, that will become the main package. Okay, I have included one example later on this presentation as well, when we talk about the package and what are the advantages of the package. So let me take you to the first things. What is the interface? So when we talk about the interface, that will be very useful for us to talk about the abstract class as well, because somehow they both are the come under the OOPS concept called the abstraction. So they are the similar, so I have included the abstract class as well in this particular topic. So Java use the interface to implement the multiple inheritance, right? So again, you must be aware about the inheritance is one of the OOPS concept. If you don't know the definition and how it's work, I have included the practical example later on this presentation. So stay tuned and we will have this information in the later on. But for the simple word to understand the interface and the Java relationship, I will say Java use the interface to implement the multiple inheritance, right? And multiple inheritance is the type of the inheritance that we can implement in the Java program. A Java class can implement the multiple Java interface, although they both are the same with the different with the minor difference. So that's the reason Java class can implement the multiple Java interface. Okay, the next definition is about the abstract class. So if any class has the keyword abstract, we would say that is the abstract class in the Java program, right? If the class is declared as abstract, it cannot be initiated, which means you cannot create the object of that particular abstract class. So this is the key things you need to make sure when you talk about the abstract class. If someone says, are you able to create the object of the abstract class, then simply no, you cannot create the object of the abstract class. And you can see I have included the difference between the abstract class and the interface at the bottom. So few of the point is very straightforward, and this is a very important questions for you as a fresher. If you go to the interview, this 99% they will ask you about the difference between the abstract class and the interface. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, abstract class can extend only one class or one abstract class at the time, but an interface can extend any number of the interface at the one time. So this is the first difference. The second one would be an abstract class can extend another regular or the abstract class. An interface can only extend another interface. So over here the abstract class can extend another constant. The constant class means which do have the complete definition, but that can be changed, that can be overwritten. Okay, so abstract class can extend the regular class and the abstract class, where the interface can only extend the interface. An abstract class can have the both abstract and the constant method, where the interface can only have the abstract methods. The last one, and very useful at the access level, an abstract class can have the protected and the public abstract methods, where the interface can only have the public abstract methods. So this is very useful for you to understand what is the difference between the abstract class and the interface, and that will be very useful for writing the code and understand the difference and the concept of the abstraction of the one of the concept of the OOPS. I have write up the simple code where you can understand what is the interface and how you can implement that interface for the different class. So over here on the screen you will see the two files. One is animal.java and the second file will be the tiger.java. So tiger fall under the animals. So tiger can implement whatever the methods and the variables available under the animal interface. So over here I have just defined the interface name called animal, right? And it has the two methods, eat and run. So now any animal can implement that method in their class, tiger, lion, dog, cat, anyone, right? So in the public class, what I have did as a step number 3, public class tiger implements animal. That means class tiger will implement the animals and use its methods to declare its own definition. So in this particular class, I have just write down the simple statement: the tiger eats, tiger run, right? And one more method which I have defined in the class tiger, it's the public integer number of legs. So over here you can see these two methods we have derived from the interface animal, and this is the method which is normally we have wrote up for the class tiger. Okay, now if you want to print these two statements, if you want to get the output, what you need to do, as we just discussed earlier, you need to create the object in the Java main method, which is the default one. So what I have did, I have created the object m in the class name tiger, and I have called both the method m.eats and m.travel. So this is how the interface and the class normally work. So you need to define the method which is going to be reused by the different other classes, and this is how you can change their definition, declaration, and you can use that particular things in the Java program. Okay, so the next topic will be the Java package. As we just discussed earlier, as its name suggests, the package is the group of the things like the classes, interface, and the another packages. In the Java we have the simple line. Whenever we start any code, we have the few utilities, you can say we need to import we can say to support some classes, some function, some method to write up the Java code. So over here you can see the import java.util.scanner. So what it represent? It is importing the Java, which is a top level package available by default in the Java, and the sub package called util, right? And that sub package has the different classes, okay, like scanner, printer, and anything we can say. So scanner is one of the class which represent the sub package util. So this is how we have the Java package which is inbuilt by the Java, and also the package can be created by the user. So let's say if I am creating the one package called test, and I have the one more class in that particular test package, I will say the class test1, right? If I need to import that particular class test1 to any other package, what I will do, I will say import test dot test class 1. So that will allow me to use the functions and method available for the class test 1, and that another package as well. Okay, so why we choose the package when we write the Java program? So these are the very useful and the key things I will say. The package make the code reusable. If you have one format where you have just write up the code, right, and you have the another project where you need to use the similar kind of code, let's we say, so using the package you can create such things in form of classes inside the package as well. Okay, the next thing is the better organizations. In a large Java project where we have the number of classes, right, so to organize those classes in the meaningful way, you can use the package, right? You have the package 1 which has the around 10 or 20 classes. You have the package 2 which has the 10 to 15 classes. So this is how you can organize your classes with respect to the project definition and all those things. The third one will be very useful, the name conflict. In the Java you cannot create the two classes with the similar name under the one package, right? So what the normally developer do, they create the different package. Let's say we have the similar functionality, we have the login functionality for the admin and for the normal user as well. So what I will do, I will create the two package called the admin and the second package called the normal user, and I will have that particular class, the login class, into the both of them. So whenever I want to implement the class, I will normally use that package name to make sure it not get conflicted. Okay, so in the next slide I have defined the package. So on the top you can set the package name, the helper. The first one will be the package name let me calculate, right? So the package has the let me calculate, and what it will do, it has the class called the calculator, right? And the class has the one method which is add. So what that method will do, that method will add the integer a plus b and return to the class as a method. Okay, so if you see the number step number 4, what I am doing, I am calling that particular method into this particular Java main method. So what I will do, I will create the one object, calculator object is equal to new calculator, and what I will do, I will say system.output out.println object.add 10 and 20. So what that will do, object will call the method add and it will sum up the 10 and 20 for me. Okay, so this is the class calculator which is lied under the let me calculate package. Now we have the another Java class where we require that particular method, the calculator method, to be called up. So what we will do, we define the package helper, okay, which has the demo class. So if you see the step number 6, I have import the let me calculate dot calculator. So I have imported the let me calculate package and the class of that particular package calculator. Okay, and from where, as a step number 7, I have created the object the similar way I have created in the step number 4. So I have created the object and I use the similar method in the same way but in the different package. So this is how you can use the package. You can organize your code, you can use your code whenever it required. Okay, so hope you have this these practical things in your mind as well while going to this theoretical part as well. So let me take you to the next slide, and as I informed earlier in this presentation, the package, class, interface, object, everything is it's depend on their access level, what type of the access level we have given to them. And to restrict the access level of any object in the Java, we have the keywords we can normally say as a modifier. So the modifier are the keywords that you add to the definition to change their meaning, right, to change their access level. and Java support the number of the access modifier, as you can see on the screen. So the modifier fall under the two category, I would say, is the access modifier and the non-access modifier. Okay, so you can see on the screen the access modifier, it's the default, private, protected and public, right? The default, private, protected and the public. And the non-access modifier are static, final and abstract. Okay, so what is the default one? When no access modifier is specified for a class or method or any data member, it will take the default one for that particular class and the object. So you can see on the how it get access layer. So for the default one, you can use on the same class. The default one can be used for the same package and the subclass, and the default one can be used for the same package and the non-subclass. Okay, so as you go to the write the Java program, you will understand what is the subclass, what is a non-subclass for the package. Okay, but you cannot use the default one in the different package, right? As you can see, I have just pointed out the access level at the bottom. I have just says yes, 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 who you can use, and the no, 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 from where you cannot use that particular method, class or object. The private access modifier, again I will say, is it will be specified using the keyword private, right? The method or data member declared as a private are accessible only within the class which they have declared. Any other class of same package will not able to access these members. So as you can see, the private modifier has the most of the no for the same package as well as from the different package as well. So you can only use from the class under which they have defined. The another one is one more key things about the private is the classes and the interface cannot be declared as a private, because if you define the class as a private, you cannot use their methods, their different data member on the another class or the interface. So that is the key things you should keep in mind when you write the Java program. The third one will be the protected. The protected access modifier is specified using the keyword protected, and the method and data member are declared as a protected are accessible within the same package or a subclass in the different package. So as you can see, the same class can use the protected, the same package and the same class can use the protected data member, and also the different package and the subclass you can use the protected modifier, use data member. And the last and very easy, the public. The variable and the data member defined as a public you can access from anywhere in that particular project, in that particular data suite. Okay, so this is the key things you should keep in mind when you write the Java code, and most of the time we normally use the public and the default one. I would say is sometimes we use the private and the protected, but very rare. The public will be easy for us to understand on the initial level. Okay, but the key things about this modifier in the Java program is that if other programmer want to use your class or they want to use your methods which you should want to restrict from your code, then you can use the private one. If that will not make any sense to use the private one, then just keep as a public, because most of the program, most of the project will have their functionality can be used from the another class and methods. So just make sure to use the private modifier whenever it required only. Okay, so these are the things about the class, methods, object, interface and the package and their different modifiers. So the next slide we are going to talk about the OOPS concept. As I have mentioned few of times in these presentations, we are going to talk about the OOPS concept. So here it is, like the OOPS concept we have the inheritance, encapsulations, abstraction and the polymorphism. So let me take you to the next slide, which define what is the inheritance. Okay, so inheritance means accessing one class property from the another class, in the simple word, right? We have the normally I would say is the few of the example connecting with the real world, right? The father and son, right? So sometimes we have, normally people says like the son is similar to his father, he has the habit similar to his father. So that is, I would say, is one of the real-time example of inheritance. Like few of the characteristics, few of the behavior will automatically come from the father into their son. Okay, so in the simple word, inheritance will have the two concepts. First one, it says parent class and the child class. So the parent class is also called as a base class or the super class, and the child class will be called as a subclass or the derived class. So if someone will ask you what is the difference between the parent and child class, you can say the parent class is the super and the base class which define the property, and the child class will be the subclass who normally derive the property and the method from the parent class. Okay, so on the screen I have tried to cover most of the types of the inheritance. So on the edge you can say the single inheritance, where class A and class B come into the picture, into the relationships. I have also show up the hierarchical inheritance, where class B and C get created from the class A. We then normally use the property and the method from the class A. And the third one will be the multiple inheritance, where the class B and C use the property of the class A and the class D use the property of class B and C. Okay, so on the left side you will say that is the valid for both class and the interface, if you see in the practical example. But on the right side it will be invalid for the class and valid for the interface. Okay, so this is the property you can see about the inheritance. Okay, and what is the keyword you normally use for the inherit the one class from the another class? And that is very key things. It's extend. You use the extend keyword when you want to derive, when you want to take the property or method from the another class. So on the single inheritance I will say is class B extend A. That means class B extend the properties methods from the class A. So in that case class A become the parent class and class B become the child class. Okay, so all clear about the inheritance. Inheritance means accessing one class properties from another class, and you can see the different types and the simple example on the screen. So the next things in the OOPS concept is the encapsulation. So as you can see on the screen, you might be aware about what is the encapsulation, and if you see the capsule which contain the method and variables and which represent the class itself, right? And all those structure we can say as an encapsulations. So as a core definition, I would say encapsulation is the mechanism where you bind your data and code together as a single unit. So you have the variable, the data member as a variable, and you have the method to use those data member, how you need to put the output and all those things. If you bind them together, that will create the encapsulation. Okay, and the simple term how you can achieve the encapsulation. So we have the two ways: declaring the variable of a class as a private. Okay, so if you make sure you have the class and you have the few things which is defined and declared as a private, then that will become the capsule itself. So if you take one of them out, that will not work as a capsule. So if you want to use that particular unit, you need to make sure you define that class as a private. The second thing will be the providing public setter and getter method to modify and view the variable values. Let's suppose that in your encapsulation, in your private class, you have the different variables which can be used for the different method, different class as well. So what you need to do, you need to just provide the public getter and setter method so that they can call your variables, they can modify their value, and they can use in their particular code as well. Okay, So this is the concept of the encapsulation. The encapsulation is the mechanism where you bind your data and code together as a single unit using the private modifier. The next thing is the abstraction, and abstraction in the real term is very tough to understand, right? But if you take the practical scenario in the real time example, I have taken this particular image from the sitebay.com, where it is very easy for us to understand what is the abstraction stand for. So let's first go to the code definition. Abstraction is the process in Java used to hide the certain information and only show up the information which is essential and which is meaningful for the programmer and meaningful for the user as well. Okay, so take the simple example of ATM machine. We all use the ATM machine. We know we insert the card, we put our pin code, and we click on the few option, and we will have the cashback on our hand. But none of us know how actually it done in the background, how the technical process work in the background, because when you insert the card, right, it will go through the verification process. So if you have noticed, once you insert the card, after a few seconds your name will be there on the screen. So that also involves the verification process. So whatever card you have processed, it's valid or not. When you put the pin code, then it will say the authentication authorization come into the picture. It will make sure the right person is accessing the right things. So this is the simple example of the abstraction, where the details which normally confuse the people are hidden from us, and the meaningful information which is really helpful for a user to use the software are shown onto the front side. And yeah, when we talk about the abstraction, the one more good example is the mobile phone. So whenever we get a call from anyone, we have the two options: either we can pick up or we can reject, right? So that is the key things as well, and the best example of the abstraction, because we don't know how the logic has been written in the background, what the code has been written in the background, right? But we have the two options only: pick up or reject. So this is the best example as well for the abstraction. So you are a bit confident about the abstraction. If someone will ask you, don't give the definition from the Java, just go to the real-time example. They will understand that you have the better knowledge about the concept. Okay, so the next thing is the polymorphism. So what is the polymorphism? Okay, so you can see on the screen, the poly, that means the many, and morphism means the different forms. And this definition we normally remember at the college time when we go for the Viva. So these are the core definition about the inheritance, about the polymorphism and encapsulation are remain the same, but how we have taken that particular concept at that time and for now it's totally changed, because now we know the practical things, how that works in the real program as well. So the best example is on your screen, right? We have one class called the bowling class, okay, and we have the one method called the bowling method, and that is the parent class. So now we have the one class, we have the, and that can be taken on the different forms. So we have the class as a bowler, so we can have the fast bowler, we have the medium pacer, and we have the spinner in our real life scenario. So we have created the same things on this presentation. You can see the Bradley normally represent to the fast pacer, and that can be used as a child class for the parent class called the bowler. The another one will be the Irfan Pathan for the medium pacer and the Harbhajan Singh for the spinner. So this is the things I will say is the polymorphism, when one thing has the ability to take the different forms, to take the different method definitions, that is we can call the polymorphism. So if you have any questions about the things I have learned, I have teach you so far, you can just put on the comment. If you feel any comment on the presentation itself, you can just write up your feedback for me. That will be very useful for me to prepare the next video for this series. And of course, These are the very useful side when I was learning, and when I was preparing this presentation, I have taken from this side. You can just note it down, you can just go through that. This guy have done the fabulous job to catch up and to help out the different communities who are willing to learn the new things on the technical side. And of course, if you like my video, you can like, share and subscribe to my software learning channel, which is available at the bottom. You can also just write down the software learning tutorial on the YouTube. You will get my channel as well over there. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I will get back to you with the third part soon.